The basement's single light bulb flickered as I arranged my few remaining possessions on the metal shelving unit. My stepmom, Diana, had been generous enough to let me keep my bed and desk. Everything else had been moved to make room for my stepsister Jennifer's essential belongings in what used to be my room. Megan. Diana's voice echoed down the stairs. Jennifer needs your blue curtains. They match her new bedspread better than the ones she brought. I closed my eyes, counting to 10 before responding. They were my mother's. Don't be selfish. Jennifer's going through a big adjustment, moving to a new house. The least you can do is help make her comfortable. The least I could do. Like I hadn't already given up my room, my space, my place in my own home. All because Dad had married Diana 3 months ago, and her precious Jennifer needed the proper environment to prepare for college applications. Never mind that I was already attending Stanford on a full academic scholarship, coming home only during breaks. Never mind that I'd earned that scholarship while helping Dad through Mom's illness, maintaining perfect grades while working part-time at the library. Never mind that the room they'd given Jennifer was the one Mom had painted herself, choosing each detail to create a perfect sanctuary for her brilliant girl. I'll bring them up, I called back, knowing this wasn't a battle worth fighting. Not yet. The basement wasn't terrible, objectively speaking. Dad had finished it years ago as a home office, before his marketing business took off and he moved to a real office downtown. The concrete walls were covered with drywall, the floor had decent carpeting, and there was even a small bathroom, though the shower's water pressure was questionable at best. But it wasn't my room, and it wasn't what Mom had wanted for me. Here. I handed the curtains to Diana, who stood at the top of the stairs in her yoga outfit, fresh from her morning session with her personal trainer. Their custom-made silk. The care instructions. Jennifer knows how to handle nice things. Diana cut me off. Unlike some people who waste their time with dusty books and scholarship applications, she understands quality. Right, because Jennifer's expertise in quality definitely extended beyond matching her designer handbags to her shoes. I retreated back to the basement before Diana could find something else of mine to requisition. My phone buzzed with a text from Dad. Working late tonight. Diana's hosting a dinner party to help Jennifer meet some college admissions officers. Please make yourself scarce. Make yourself scarce. That seemed to be the theme lately. Since the wedding, Dad had become increasingly distant, deferring to Diana's judgment about everything from household decisions to my future plans. Stanford's fine for now, Diana had said at breakfast last week, but Jennifer's applying to Harvard. That's a real legacy school. Maybe you should consider transferring somewhere more appropriate for your background. My background, like being the daughter of a successful businessman and a brilliant literature professor, somehow made me less worthy than Jennifer, whose main accomplishment was being born to Diana's first marriage to a hedge fund manager. I sat at my desk, pulling up the research paper I was working on for my summer internship at a tech startup. The basement's Wi-Fi signal was weak, but I'd solved that by running an Ethernet cable down from the router upstairs. Diana had complained about the unsightly wire, until I pointed out that poor internet would affect Jennifer's social media access too. A chat window popped up on my screen. My best friend Lily. How's life in the dungeon? Peachy. Just surrendered Mom's curtains to the princess upstairs. Seriously? Those were your mom's favorite. She special ordered them from that boutique in San Francisco. I remember the day Mom had hung them, still going through chemo but insisting on making my room perfect. Every girl needs a space that's completely her own, she'd said. A place to dream big dreams. Another text from Dad. Diana suggests you might be more comfortable eating dinner in your room tonight. The admissions officers are very important people. I stared at the message, feeling something inside me harden. 3 months of this. 3 months of being gradually erased from my own home, pushed aside to make room for Diana's vision of the perfect family. The basement's old radiator clanked, reminding me of another sound I'd been hearing at night, something behind the walls. Dad had mentioned once that Grandpa, his father, had helped finish the basement back when Dad was still in college. Grandpa had been eccentric about security, especially after his time in corporate finance. Always have a backup plan, he used to tell me during his rare visits, and always know where the important papers are kept. I ran my hands along the wall behind my desk, remembering how I used to watch Grandpa disappear into the basement for hours during those visits, He died when I was 12, leaving Dad the house and his mysterious investment portfolio. There, a slight unevenness in a drywall, noticeable only if you were really looking. I pressed gently, feeling something give slightly. A panel swung open. Inside was a safe, old but solid, with a digital keypad that still lit up when I touched it. And taped to the door, yellowed with age, was an envelope with my name on it. My hands trembled as I opened it, recognizing Grandpa's precise handwriting. Dearest Megan, if you're reading this, you found my little insurance policy. Your father never understood the importance of contingency plans, but I think you do. You remind me of myself at your age, watching, learning, preparing. The safe code is your mother's birthday. Inside, you'll find everything you need to understand why I really left your father this house. Choose your moment wisely. Love, Grandpa. Upstairs, I could hear Jennifer's laugh as she showed her room, my room, to Diana's dinner guests, probably telling them about her plans for Harvard, her future in finance, her destiny to follow in her father's footsteps. I entered Mom's birthday into the keypad, 05 to 17 1975. The safe clicked open. Inside was another envelope, thicker than the first, and a USB drive that looked like it had been regularly updated despite its age. But it was the document on top that caught my eye. A deed to the house, with terms and conditions I was certain Diana knew nothing about. I began to read, and with each page my grandfather's true legacy became clear. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about being prepared for when others show their true colors. And upstairs, Diana's perfect dinner party continued, unaware that everything was about to change. The documents from Grandpa's safe kept me up until 3 a.m. Each page revealed new layers of his foresight and Diana's deception. The house deed wasn't just a simple transfer of property. It came with specific conditions that had to be met for the ownership to remain valid. More importantly, the USB drive contained years of financial records, emails, and surveillance footage. Grandpa hadn't just been paranoid. He'd been preparing for exactly this kind of situation. Found something interesting. I jumped, nearly dropping my laptop. Dad stood at the bottom of the basement stairs, looking more exhausted than I'd ever seen him. He was still in his work clothes, though his tie hung loose around his neck. "How long have you known of the safe?" I asked. He sighed, settling onto my bed, the only other seating available since Diana had declared my reading chair perfect for Jennifer's meditation corner. "Dad, Grandpa, showed me right before he died. Said I'd need it someday when I finally understood what he'd been trying to tell me about people and power." He rubbed his face. "I didn't get it then. Starting to now." I turned my laptop to show him the email chain I found on the USB drive. Correspondence between Diana and her lawyer discussing plans to restructure Dad's company once they were married. "She's been planning this since before the wedding," I said quietly. "The company, the house, everything. Jennifer's Harvard applications, that's just phase 1. Once she has an Ivy League degree, Diana plans to install her as CEO." Dad's face went through a complex series of emotions: denial, anger, resignation, and finally, determination. "Show me everything." For the next 2 hours, we went through Grandpa's files together. The surveillance footage showed Diana going through Dad's office when he wasn't home, photographing documents and sending them to her lawyer. The financial records revealed a pattern of suspicious transfers from Dad's accounts to offshore holdings. But how did Grandpa know? I wondered. These records go back years, long before you'd even met Diana. Dad picked up the original deed. Look at the date. He updated it the day after Mom's diagnosis. Property ownership transfers to Megan Roberts upon any attempt to reorganize or transfer ownership of Roberts' marketing group without board approval. He knew I'd be vulnerable after losing her. My throat tightened. Mom's death had hit Dad hard, leaving him lonely and susceptible to someone like Diana. Successful, confident, and utterly ruthless. "There's more," I said, pulling up another document. "The house deed has specific conditions about resident treatment. Any attempt to significantly alter living arrangements without all parties' consent triggers an automatic review." "Moving you to the basement," Dad realized. "Diana said you'd agreed to it." "Did you really believe that?" He looked away. I wanted to believe a lot of things. My phone buzzed. A message from Jennifer, of all people. "Mom says to keep your music down. Some of us need our beauty sleep before important meetings." I turned to show Dad the text, but his attention was on something else in the safe, a smaller envelope we hadn't noticed before. Inside was a single photograph. Grandpa with a much younger Diana, both in business attire, standing outside an office building. The date stamp showed it was taken 15 years ago. She worked for him, Dad said slowly, at the investment firm. That's why all this felt familiar. She's running the same play she tried back then. The pieces clicked into place. Diana hadn't randomly chosen Dad as a target. She'd been planning this for years, waiting for the perfect moment to take what she believed Grandpa had denied her. A thud from upstairs made us both jump. Through the ceiling, we could hear Diana's voice. Of course the merger is still on track. Roberts won't know what hit him until it's too late. Just make sure the paperwork is ready for Monday's board meeting. Dad's face hardened. Monday's meeting was supposed to be about our new marketing campaign. No, I showed him another email from the USB drive. It's about selling the company to Diana's ex-husband's firm. She's been coordinating with him the whole time. Once the sale goes through, you'll be out, and Jennifer will be set up with a consulting position until she finishes college. For a moment, Dad looked every bit his age, tired, defeated, betrayed. Then he straightened, and I saw the businessman who'd built his company from nothing. What else did your grandfather leave us? I pulled up the final folder on a USB drive. A plan. But we'll need help. The next 48 hours were a blur of activity, all conducted from my basement command center. Dad called emergency meetings with trusted board members. I coordinated with Grandpa's old contacts, lawyers, bankers, and security experts who'd been waiting years for this exact scenario. Deanna noticed nothing, too busy preparing for her moment of triumph. She even seemed pleased when Dad suggested she handle Monday's meeting alone, claiming he had an important client emergency. Sunday night, I heard her on the phone through the heating vent. Everything's set. By this time tomorrow, Robert's marketing will be ours, and his daughter can go back to whatever scholarship program she crawled out of. I smiled, thinking of Grandpa's words in his final letter. Sometimes the best defense is letting your opponents think they've already won. Monday morning, I dressed carefully in the suit Mom had bought me for college interviews. Diana raised an eyebrow when she saw me heading upstairs. The board meeting is private, dear. Why don't you stay in your room and work on those transfer applications I suggested? Actually, I held up a folder. I have an invitation. Board member privileges, you know. What are you talking about? Oh, didn't Dad tell you? As of last night, I own 51% of Robert's marketing group. Grandpa's final gift. Shares held in trust until they were needed. The look on her face made every moment in the basement worth it. That's impossible. The board meeting has been moved to the SEC offices downtown. They're very interested in discussing your emails about the merger, and the offshore accounts, and your history with certain investment firms. Diana's perfect composure cracked. You don't understand business. You're just a child. No, Dad's voice came from behind her. She understands exactly what matters: family, loyalty, and the importance of reading the fine print. As security escorts arrived to accompany Diana to her meeting with federal investigators, I headed up to my room, my real room, and began taking down Jennifer's posters. Sometimes the basement is exactly where you need to be to bring everything upstairs crashing down. 6 months after Diana's arrest, I stood in my restored bedroom, Mom's blue curtains once again hanging perfectly at the windows. The house felt different now, cleaner somehow, as if Diana's departure had cleared out more than just her designer furniture and Jennifer's Harvard pennants. Hey kiddo, Dad knocked on my open door. Got a minute? These days, the strain of Diana's manipulation replaced by something closer to his old self. Robert's marketing had not only survived but thrived once the truth came out. Turns out clients appreciate honesty and transparency more than Harvard connections. Jennifer's lawyer called again, he said, settling into my reading chair, back in its rightful corner. She's asking to finish the semester living here. Her father's asset freeze means they can't afford the private school dorm anymore. I thought about Jennifer's last words to me as security had escorted her and Diana out. You're nothing but a scholarship charity case. You'll never understand what it means to have real class. What did you tell her? That decisions about residence require unanimous approval from all property owners. Dad smiled. I learned to read the fine print too. My phone buzzed with an email from Stanford's business school, early acceptance for their combined MBA/law program. Diana's sneering comments about my appropriate educational choices had sparked something unexpected, a determination to understand both the legal and business sides of corporate governance. Grandpa would be proud, Dad said, noticing my smile. He always said you had the perfect blend of your mother's intelligence and his strategic thinking. The basement had been transformed into a proper home office, the hidden safe now a family joke rather than a secret weapon. But we'd kept everything from inside it. Every document, email, and recording that proved Diana's long con. Have you heard from her? I asked, though I already knew the answer. Diana's trial had been swift and devastating, her previous attempts at corporate theft coming to light once her ex-husband turned state's evidence to save himself. Still maintaining her innocence, claimed she was just trying to help restructure a failing family business and provide opportunities for the next generation. I logged into the Roberts marketing system, pulling up our latest quarterly reports. The company's new youth outreach program, providing business education and mentorship to scholarship students, was already showing impressive results. Speaking of opportunities, Dad continued, the board wants to formalize your position. How does Director of Strategic Development sound for summer breaks? Subtle, I laughed. Diana's old title. Better office though, one with a view. My phone buzzed again. A message from Lily. Found something you might want to see. Diana's been blogging from prison about corporate persecution and the destruction of traditional family values. Attached was a link to Diana's blog, complete with dramatic posts about how she'd been blindsided by ungrateful stepchildren, and attacked for trying to mentor underprivileged youth. I showed it to Dad, who actually laughed. Should we be worried? No, I pulled up another file on my laptop. The complete record of Diana's previous schemes, including her attempted takeover at Grandpa's firm. Let her blog. Every post just reinforces the prosecution's case about her pattern of behavior. We kept copies of everything, secured in multiple locations. Grandpa's lessons about backup plans had stuck. A final buzz from my phone, an alert about Diana's assets auction. Her designer furniture, luxury cars, and essential artwork were being sold to repay her victims. Mom's favorite charity is getting the proceeds, Dad mentioned. The literacy foundation she started, they're expanding their scholarship program. I touched the framed photo on my desk. Mom at her last book drive, still radiant despite her illness, surrounded by children clutching new books. Diana had called it depressing and tried to hide it in the basement. Now it sat proudly displayed, a reminder of what really matters. The basement apartment's ready, Dad said after a moment. Properly renovated this time, with good lighting and proper heating. The scholarship students will have a nice place to stay while they intern at the company. Another of our new initiatives, providing housing and opportunities to students who, like me, had earned their way forward. Diana's appropriate background comments had inspired more than she'd intended. My laptop pinged with an update from the company's legal team. Diana's appeal had been denied. She'd serve her full sentence, while Jennifer had accepted a plea deal, community service at the very literacy foundation she once mocked. Life has a way of teaching lessons, Dad mused, reading the update over my shoulder. Your mother used to say that education comes in many forms. I thought of the past year, the basement exile that had led to discovering Grandpa's safe, the forced family dinners that had revealed Diana's true nature, the quiet nights spent building evidence while they plotted upstairs. Sometimes the best classrooms aren't in schools, and the most important lessons don't come from Harvard. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from an unknown number. Ms. Roberts, this is Claire from the Scholarship Foundation. Another student mentioned you're the one who suggested converting basement spaces into student housing. We'd love your input on expanding the program. I smiled, thinking of Mom's words about every girl needing her own space to dream big dreams. Diana had tried to take that away, not realizing she actually helped create something bigger, a way to provide that same opportunity to others. Tell the board I accept the position, I told Dad. But I want to focus on expanding our educational initiatives first. He hugged me, and for a moment I saw tears in his eyes. You know what your mom would say about all this? That sometimes you have to go down to the basement to understand what needs to change upstairs, he finished. I looked around my room, my space, my dreams, my future. Diana had tried to erase me from my own home, never realizing she was just helping write a better story. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about making sure others don't face the same battle. Though having a grandfather who understood corporate espionage definitely helps.